Welcome to Unfiltered Summit Sisters. I'm Gina.
And I'm Julia.
We are two ride-or-die best friends who are paving the path for what true, authentic relationships look like.
We're facing hardships head-on, having real, uncensored conversations, supporting each other's growth, and shining a light on true, raw healing.
We are navigating the world the best we know how,
Having a hell of a time doing it.
laughing every step of the way,
Through the rain
and sunshine.
This is Canyon Culture.
Oh my God, it's so pretty and it feels so good and it smells good.
It does smell good. Your coffee smells good too.
Is it my coffee? I'm like, it smells like spring. Let's just get
No.
the kids. We're done. Summer's here.
I know. It does smell really good,
Right? Thank you.
Okay, do you see the sunshine? This feels amazing.
Incredible.
Like you're gonna get sunburned.
I'm so happy for that.
You should put sunscreen on.
I'm so happy for that. I want to take some clothes off.
Let's wait till the camera's off.
Okay.
And maybe not in public.
This isn't public. It's private property.
It is private property. That fence over there, not covering much.
Yeah. It's true.
The gravel pit on the other side of this hill there's a lot of workers there.
I don't feel like anybody would complain. I'm just saying.
That is true. But why would you give it away for free?
So you're saying I should charge?
Just saying.
Make a whole month of income today.
Today.
In a couple hours.
Done.
Easy.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so today we're talking about how Julia made the massive decision to pick up her life in Texas and move to Utah with her and her 6 kids. It's kind of an incredible story.
Yeah, it's so cool.
It's one of my favorite stories to teach. I use it as an example to teach my kids about faith, because that is the whole thing is just, it's the most faithful story I've ever heard, and I was there for it.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm like, what's happening? What's happening? This is insane, because I have lived a life of faith, but it's different when it's. You'll all understand as we tell the story because it's incredible. So let's just dive right in with it. So it all started with my kid's dad moving to Texas.
Yeah.
And Texas is a really big state.
Like really big. Like a whole day of driving is just you're in Texas the whole time.
Yeah. And he moved an hour away from you.
Out of everywhere in the world that he could have moved.
Right. Like there's an entire planet and he picked 1 hour from you. So if God isn't in this, because that was something I was just like, he's answering prayers left and right.
Right.
And so for him to send my ex an hour from you. So the idea of my ex moving was not fun at the beginning, because that meant significant amount of time that my kids were going to be gone from me because of the holidays and how the parent time works when
Right.
they live far away. But there was this tender mercy of, but you're there. So if there's an emergency, you can go get them, or I
Right.
can go be with you. I get to see you, because our relationship at this point was only doTERRA conventions, which was once a year. And at that point, neither of us were going anymore.
Yep.
So I hadn't seen you in 5
Well, and then
years.
COVID had hit, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
that hadn't, that stalled things too. And so we hadn't seen each other
For a
in
long time.
Yeah.
A really long time. And so that to me was God going like, I got you. I got you. And I was like, thank you so much.
I love that.
It was the best.
I love those little God winks of
Oh
I'm
my
here.
gosh. It
I'm
feels
here.
like when you say wink, I'm like, no, it's a big freaking hug. Because a wink is so like minimal. And I'm like, no, I felt so seen and so loved by him that he's like, yes, your babies are going to be gone. So at this point, we were planning 6 weeks without my kids.
Yeah. And they had never been gone from you for more than what?
I think the most was like 14 days, and that it feels like a stretch too.
But they were also in Utah.
20 minutes away.
Right. Way different.
And I want to say that I even I had to drop stuff off during those 14 days. So there was still lots of
Contact.
yeah. And I hated those 14 days, don't get me wrong.
Right,
But it
right.
didn't, this is different.
Yeah.
So yeah, 6 weeks, 40 days without my kids was a lot.
Yeah.
But to know that when I get there to Texas and drop my kids off with their dad, that I get to turn around and be in like the best place ever.
Yeah, because we share an airport
Yeah.
where, because he and I were only an hour away, we use the same airport.
Yeah. So that's what literally happened. I flew out with the kids. He picked them up at the curb. I bawled my eyes out in the corner of the airport. And then you and one of your girls came and picked me up.
Yeah.
And it was this, I don't think I've ever had a flood of mixed of emotions in my entire life because I was so sad and so distraught. Like, I don't think I'd cried that hard in a long time. Like, my heart just left with my 4 kids. But then to have this like safe space and this love and just like to be with you, I was like, okay, we got this kind of a thing.
And Mackenzie made you a very special sign.
It was a very, very thought out, tender, loving sign.
Because we knew you were going to be going through really hard crap, having to say bye to your babies for that long.
Yeah.
So we knew we couldn't just pick you up like a regular person.
To be honest, it doesn't matter what I'm going through. I feel like you guys would have shown up.
This is true.
You don't
So
need
there's no way we were just going to pick you up like a regular person. So we had weeks of how are we going to pick her up? What are we going to do to cheer her up? What sign are we going to make? And Mackenzie found the perfect one.
She did not disappoint. No.
She had
okay,
a
so what did it say?
giant poster board with all different colors that said, "Welcome home from prison, Mom. 10 years went by really fast."
But not only did they just have the sign, she's got this girl, it's got most of her body out the window, holding up this sign going, "Mom, Mom," screaming at me.
The guy next to us, priceless. Priceless.
Now, the pick up and drop off lanes there is intense. So there's like, you throw your crap in, you get in and you take off. There's no like, let's hug. And I'm over there
no,
like,
if you've ever been to IAH airport, they are
get out.
get in the car and move.
So I'm like crying and laughing and like, I don't know what's happening. And I had never met Mackenzie and she's got this sign and I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until we were like driving away that I actually read the sign and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, I almost wish you guys were like at the carousel.
Yeah, I
waiting.
know.
Like,
I know.
so like everybody could see
That would have been so good. We're going to put a picture of that
yes.
on our post when the podcast releases.
On social media.
Yeah. Mhm.
I think, yeah, because we got pictures of her and I
So
together
good.
with it. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But then I got to spend a whole week with you and your babies.
Yeah.
And it was like I walked into your house and the welcome I got from your kids was like, we've known each other forever.
Yeah.
Hugs from everybody.
Yeah.
This is the first time I met most of them. Now the ones I did meet, they were babies.
Yeah.
So this is like not talking kind of babies.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first time I met your kids for real.
Yeah.
And it was like, there was no transition time. We dove right into just comfortable life.
Yeah.
It was you and me and your youngest sharing your bed. And you were still working. I was still working. And it's like, we just dove into this life that we always like, we kind of were like, I think we would be really good at doing life together.
Yeah.
And we did. Like that week, it was like we communicated, but there wasn't a need for excess communication. So you'd be working and I'd be making dinner or
Yeah.
helping with laundry or whatever. Like it was just flawless, just doing life together. And I was like, this is nice.
And that was such, that week was such a light for me because I was in a really dark place at that time.
Yeah.
We had just moved again.
For like the 20th time.
And it was just, I was going through a whole lot of dark. And so having you there was such a light that week for me.
Okay, so was that like a part of what got you thinking about moving to Utah? You're like, this actually is working like we ever dreamed it would?
Yeah, for sure. Because we were so alone every day
Yeah.
in Houston. I mean, we had amazing people in community who stepped in when there were emergencies, when there were dire needs, when, things like that. But on a daily basis, we were freaking alone all the time.
Yeah.
And so anything that would come up was on me all
Yeah.
the time. I mean, Mackenzie and I are fixing taking apart an entire washer at 11:30 p.m. at night after I've worked all day, after I'm tired as hell.
Yeah.
And I've got to get up at 6 a.m. the next day. We're taking apart a washer because I don't have money to replace it. And, it's just single mom life. And it's
Yeah.
so hard and frustrating to be alone all the time. So for sure, that week was such a light for me and definitely got me thinking like, this is what we have dreamed of. This is what we have talked about.
Yeah. And
To
it
be
worked.
there for each
it
other.
actually, like, it was like always a dream.
Yes.
But to just live it out. And I keep saying like low communication, because it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to come do life with you. It was like, I'm so glad to have a safe space for me to land after I dropped my kids off. Like we didn't go much further. We didn't know what the week was going to hold. We really
it's
didn't
not
have
like
plans.
we were definitely, neither of us were on vacation. We didn't
No.
have time off. It was normal life.
Yeah, and it was so awesome.
Yeah.
And I got to bond with your kids, and we started joking around about you moving.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, I don't know, I think it was the third day I was there, and you dropped the girls off at work, and obviously I went with, and we were coming back, and you were just like, I'm seriously thinking about moving to Utah. I don't know what your perception of my response was, but in my head I was like, don't freak out, don't freak out. And she just said, I'm thinking about it. Don't freak out. Don't freak out.
Don't take it as a blood oath like our children do.
Like just stay calm, stay cool, keep it together.
It's just a normal day, everyone.
But we started working at looking at rental houses and just like, oh, this is a cute house, and just kind of like playing the what if game.
Yeah.
And that turned into, when I come back to pick up my kids, because I was going to fly back to get them.
Yeah.
You're like, what if we do a road trip, and what if me and my kids come stay with you for 2 weeks during this break that I happen to have right when you're picking up the kids?
Right.
And we'll just like, let's make memories. And I was like, yeah, let's do that. And all the, everything aligned to make that happen with work and all the things that needed to happen on the Utah end. So I bought a one-way ticket just for me.
Yeah.
And so after the miserable 6 weeks that was without my kids, there was this little light of planning this little vacation, but also still not freaking out, looking at houses and talking about maybe this could work out.
Do you remember people's reactions when we told them that we were going to put 10 kids and us in a car and drive over 22 hours?
It's definitely, it was my favorite. So during the Sunday ice cream socials that we have in my neighborhood, people were very involved in what's going on with me and my kids' lives.
Yeah.
My community is super awesome like that.
Our
Oh,
community.
well, at that time it was just mine.
Okay. I'll give you a pass.
Thank you. So sorry. So they were very aware, like, hey, how are the kids doing? How are things going? And I was like, yeah, and telling them how the boys were doing. But then I was just like, my best friend's out there.
Yeah.
And we're gonna road trip back. And she's gonna spend 2 weeks here, and it's gonna be awesome. They're like, oh my gosh, that's so much fun. Like, how many kids does she have? And I was like, 6. And their eyes bugged out a little bit. And they're like, how does that work? I was like, well, she's got a 12-passenger van. So if we pack light,
Yeah.
we'll all be able to fit. And they're like, how long of a drive is that? And I was like, it's just 22 hours without stopping.
It's fine.
It's fine. And they're like, you're insane.
Yeah.
I think you had that more because big families in Utah is more prevalent. So people had a lot of kids generally.
Right.
Like, oh, I have the best memories of road tripping with all of my siblings. But in Texas,
No. Oh my, people were like, you're crazy.
right, you're insane.
That is literally the most insane thing I've heard.
So I
I was like, it's going to be great.
we had enough people in the community that were like, hey, like, tell me what your itinerary is. When do we expect you guys back? Like, safety reasons, right?
Right.
And so I told him, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get in this day, then we're going to pick up the kids this day, and then the next day we're going to wear the kids out, and then we're going to leave at night, and then we'll be home Saturday evening.
Ish.
Yeah. And they're like, okay, so keep us posted.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, sounds good. So I fly out there. I think we have a night without the kids, and then the next morning we go pick up the kids. You and I do.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. It was so fun. And then our kids meet for the first time. Our
Yeah.
kids had not met. The 10 kids had not met yet.
Yeah. So we
Ever.
were planning on putting them all in a car for over 22 hours, and they had never even met.
We thought this was a great idea.
I mean, they don't have an option. They're destined to be best friends. So
Right. They don't get it. They don't get an opinion here.
no.
So I love the picture of all 10 of them on the couch, and they're like squished together because you got to get 10 people in a picture. They're like trying not to touch each other,
Yeah. Because they were just met. Yeah.
which is amazing. But then, so I pick up the kids. You still had to work that day, and it was one of your longer days.
It was. I had 10 or 11 students. I
So
worked
you weren't done until 8?
Yeah.
So that whole day, me and your girls were packing and cleaning and getting things in the car situated, getting like snacks and activities organized for all the 17 rows of people that
Yes.
they're going to be.
Yes,
And
we had snack bags, activity bags, trash bags, puke bags, just in case.
Yep. The Shiwi,
Yep. We brought the Shiwi.
the porta potty. We had all the we were so set.
Yeah.
And you got off of work and somebody made a comment about like, we're ready to go now. And we kind of looked at each other and one of us was like, well, let's just go.
Let's do it.
And the other one's like, yeah, okay. And so we did.
Yeah.
So we each needed to shower.
Yep.
Because in Texas, you sweat just by looking at the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Or when it's 9 o'clock at night, you just go
You're
outside.
still sweating.
You're still
Yeah.
sweating. So we loaded the car.
It's called humidity. I know that Utah
Doesn't
people don't know what that means.
No idea.
It's just all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
So you and I showered. We prayed. And we loaded everybody up. And we were on the road, but what, like 9:15?
Yeah.
9:15 we were on p.m. Yeah. We were on the road.
Yeah, we decided you would take the first shift because you're a night owl.
Yep.
And I would sleep, and then we would swap whenever you needed to. We would swap, and I would take a morning shift, and then you would sleep.
And then we just go back and forth as we needed.
Yeah.
And we got good snacks. So like the kids were like totally set. Like our plan was to stop as little as possible.
Yeah.
And boy, did we deliver.
Damn, we did.
I remember again, this was one of those no communication, execution of amazingness.
Yeah.
The first time we got gas, well-oiled machine right off the bat.
Right.
You've got your little train of ducklings going into the gas station.
All 10 of them.
All 10 of them to go potty.
Yeah.
And I loaded up with gas. And I got the trash cleaned out and all the things.
Yep.
And then as kids shuffled back out, we buckled them all back in. And we started driving. And that was at like 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
Some of the kids were like, it's time to party. At 2 in the morning, we're like, nope.
No.
Go to sleep.
Back to sleep.
But I think I made it till 4.
Yeah.
And then we switched.
Yeah, I think you drove from like 9:15 to 4 in the morning, and then I drove from like 4 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon, and then you drove from like 1 to 6 or 6:30.
Whatever it was, we only stopped to get gas.
Grab gas, everybody pee, back in the car, back on the road. 22 and a half hours.
No puking. No extra potty breaks that we didn't need gas.
Yeah.
Like we crushed it.
We freaking
The
crushed it.
kids were incredible.
Mm-hmm. They did
And
so good.
so good.
They didn't even turn a movie on until
That's right.
like Moab maybe.
Which is in Utah.
Right. It was like the last 5 hours. We didn't even turn a movie on.
I forgot about that. Oh my gosh.
They're
that makes
rock stars.
so good.
I mean, but we had so many activities, right? We had coloring books and card games and magnets and puzzles and
But they also had new friends.
yeah.
And
yeah.
that was the coolest part is like the pictures that we have. Like I remember the very beginning of the drive. Music, because obviously you and I both love music. So
Right.
music was playing and they are all screaming. They all knew the song and they're all screaming. And I was like, if that doesn't foreshadow the rest of our lives, because
Yeah.
that's what we do now.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good. But it was the best. So we pull up. I'm calling my mom and I'm like, Mom, well, I think I called my parents that night. I was like, just so you know, this is what's happening. And they're like, my dad's like, I'm sorry, you're doing what?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know how I feel about this. I was like, too bad, I'm an adult. He loves
I
that.
can do what I want.
He loves when I pull that card. And so I was like, Mom, we are an hour away.
Yeah.
Would you be able to have some sort of dinner ready? Because everybody wants real food.
Yep.
And we just drove 22 hours. Now that's the thing is like, it's 22 hours on the map.
Yep.
We made it in 22 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We somehow.
And that was we hit a giant hailstorm in
did.
Utah somewhere. Do you remember that?
That was intense.
Because we couldn't see anything, and I was like, is that hail or a rock? Like,
But
we're
then
in
there was-
between mountains.
Right, but there was like puddles. Like there was
Yeah.
so much water
Yeah.
coming down. There was like hydroplaning, and I'm in this big van. And I'm like,
Yeah.
let's not die today.
Yeah.
And we didn't. But we show up, and my mom's there with dinner for everybody. The kids are inside, and
They unloaded the whole car so fast.
well, let's keep going. Let's keep going. We're
Right.
waiting for Grammy to get here with dinner, so we unloaded the car. They ate. You and I took our dinner outside because we were
We
like,
just-
we need
yeah.
outside,
We just laid on the grass.
We did.
'Cause this was July.
so it wasn't cold.
No. We just laid on the grass,
Oh,
and then
so good.
Grammy brought dinner, and it was just,
So good. Little angel woman.
we were freaking rock stars.
All of us. All
Such badasses.
12 of us. I love it.
Yeah.
But the best part, maybe not the best part, but one of the best parts, we're sitting there in my lawn, and these same neighbors that were like, what's your itinerary? Drive by, screech to a stop, throw it in reverse, screech back, and they're like, what the hell?
You're here early, a lot early.
And we're like, hi. I was like, this is Julia. They're like,
Hi.
what the hell? Like, again, they're just like, what is happening? We're like, we made it. They're like, you're literally 24 hours early. We're like,
We know. Thank
oh,
you.
thank you so much. And it was just like, we laughed for so long. But we ate our dinner and we're like, we need to move. We need to move
Yeah.
our bodies. You and I are both used to not sitting for very long. So we need to move our bodies, so we go for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
And since it's July, the sun's up till really late and it's warm and everybody's out.
Yeah, all neighbors are out on their porches. And
Yeah. And so as we're walking, not only are people like, hey, Gina, how's it going? They're like, oh my gosh, is this your friend from Texas?
Yeah.
Like, everybody knew.
They
So
already
it's-
knew me.
So it was like 3 people in.
Yeah.
And you're like, do you literally know everybody? I was like, everybody.
Which is crazy because in Texas, we knew one neighbor.
Yeah.
One neighbor. That's it.
But this is like, I've been in the same house for, 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is the same community of people that I've had for 12 years.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of neighborhood that if you have to move, you try and find another house in the neighborhood because
Yeah.
people don't live. In fact, one of our neighbors just the other day said that he used to live in the house next door to me. And I had no idea. And they bought a house just around the corner. Like, there's so many people that like, oh yeah, we used to live there and we used to live there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you have to stay because the neighborhood is that good.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that you had heard about for years
Yeah.
through our friendship of going like, this community is amazing, especially after the divorce.
Right.
I was like, oh my gosh, this community is amazing. And I tell you stories and you're like, I need that. And I was like, come here and we will find it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we're walking, you're getting right, like literally you hit the ground and you got to feel that with the neighbors screeching
Yeah.
by and our walk and having everybody be like, is this your friend from Texas? Welcome. And chatting
Mm-hmm.
and wanting to get to know you right away.
Yeah, they just welcomed us with open arms. We had, ice cream night on Sunday nights, and everybody was just so kind and so welcoming and so genuine and
I was
authentic.
just going to say, genuinely wanting to get to know you and
Yeah.
your story and your kids and wanting
Yeah.
to know your kids. And I was like, yes, this is amazing.
Yeah,
So then we spent the next, 4 weeks living with 12 people and a crap load of dogs because I just had a litter of puppies.
Yeah.
So we had 5 adult dogs and
I want to say you had 8 puppies.
8 puppies in my house. And again, we crushed it. Like the kids even now are like, I miss living all together. I'm like, are you serious?
It is. This is so weird. This is so weird, but we're going to share it because we're going to go there because this is unfiltered, right?
Let's hear it.
We did. It was such an amazing time living together, and everything just ran so smoothly, which is so, so, so rare because you can love someone and be best friends with someone, but
Yeah.
living with them is a whole
Different
different story, right?
Yeah.
Everything ran so stinking smoothly, right?
The
so
whole time.
smoothly. And so now when I go in your bathroom to use your bathroom, there's like nostalgia
I love that.
in your bathroom. Like, I lived here.
This used to be my bathroom.
This used to be my house.
That was my drawer.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that was something that was really interesting is as I was preparing for you guys to come stay only 2 weeks,
Right. Not.
I prepared like everybody, like I thinned out my kids' clothes and I prepared drawers for everybody. And you're like, you don't need to do that. We're
Yeah.
only there for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And you just kept saying like, you don't have to do that. And I was like, no, it's fine. It's great. It's no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody had drawers in the rooms they were staying in.
Yeah.
Everybody had a bedroom. They had to share, but everyone had a bedroom. Like nobody was like on a couch.
Right. And I was even like, we can just make pallets on the ground. Like, it's
Yeah.
not a big deal. And I think that just goes to show that God was in it. He knew.
Exactly.
He knew what was going to happen.
2
and
weeks was going to be
There's
longer.
not going to be 2 weeks.
Yeah. I also remember there was a day where we were folding laundry and I was like, I think you asked me or I asked you or something like, do you get upset if somebody else folds the laundry the way you don't, like not like you?
Right.
And that's a little bit of our trauma showing. But at the same
Right.
time, I think you were just like, the laundry's getting folded. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, same girl. Because I do have a preference, but I'm also like, I will take somebody else doing the work
Hell
over
yeah.
my
You
preference
can
of
fold that
towels.
laundry however you want. You load that dishwasher however you want. If I don't have to do it, I do not care.
Right. And so there's stuff like that just again and again and again.
Yeah.
So we're all living in this house together.
Yeah.
And it took how long before you were like, yeah, we're moving here?
So I want to back up just a little bit. So before we even went on the road trip,
Okay.
I had been praying about us possibly moving, which in and of itself is crazy.
You told me
because
you would never move out of Houston.
I told everybody in my life I will. No, not Houston, Texas.
Okay, Texas.
Texas. I never wanted to live in Houston my whole life.
Okay.
And I felt like I was going to be stuck there forever. I never wanted to stay there because I need nature. It is something that fills my soul. It's something that makes me feel close to God. It's something that grounds me, and I needed that. Now, I did say I will never move out of Texas. I'm learning not to use the word never or always. We're
With
just
God,
not
at
going to
least.
use absolutes anymore.
Absolutes are not going to work.
And so I am praying about moving, which is crazy. I'm like, why would I even have this idea? Like, I'm a single mom. It's going to cost us so much money to get there. Like, this
Yeah.
is crazy. But I'm feeling moved and I'm feeling led. And so I'm praying about it. And I'm talking to God. And funny side note here, like, this is a huge decision. Huge, right? And I'm like, I'm just going to make this decision by myself. Nobody's going to stop me. What if this is a horrible idea? What if we all die? Like, nobody's going to stop me.
Where's the adult?
Where's the other adultier adult?
Where's the grown up that's supposed to make these choices?
Yeah. And
Well,
part of
also-
that,
But also, like, both in our marriages, like, we weren't allowed to make decisions.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's part of that's also part of a trauma response of making, we weren't allowed to make decisions, and any decisions that we did make, like, food at the grocery store, we got in trouble for, right?
It's funny now. It was funny then, because if we're not crying, we gotta laugh, right?
Dark humor, get used to it. Keep up.
Yeah, for real.
So I'm praying about this, and I'm like, God, I need super clear signs, black and white signs, if this is what you want us to do, because we're leaving everything that we have ever known to move, not just a state, multiple states away.
1,300 miles.
That's huge.
Did you ask for, like, writing in the clouds?
Oh, I was like, I want a text message. I want, like,
Have Jesus come
could you
tell me
appear
face-
in my room?
So how did he talk to you? So let's hear.
So some of the
signs he
signs.
gave.
So I asked. I was like, I am a daughter of the King, and I will approach that throne boldly and ask. And I want signs that are black and white.
Love
And
it.
he gave them to me.
I love
He
it.
gave them to me. So one of the signs that I got, I went to train in my gym and shuffled a huge playlist. And the first song that came on said, "Speak to the mountains. It's time to move."
That one blows my mind. I remember that Marco Polo that you sent me, and I was
Yeah.
just like, "Are you kidding?"
I was freaking out. I was like, what?
Because one of the things that I spend a ton of time in these mountains. I am
Right.
up that canyon, especially when my kids are with their dad. I was up there all the time, and I would text you and be like, "Hey, you want to go up the canyon?" And you're like, "Yes," and then you'd flip me off.
Or
'cause you're-
she's like, I'm having a hard day. I'm going to go up the canyon. I'm like, oh, I feel really sorry for you. I'm going to go sit by my tree and sweat
with the cicadas
with the cicadas.
serenading me into crazy town.
So I get, so I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, okay.
It's
But
such
then
a
I'm
big
like,
one.
okay, but I need more God. But okay,
again.
but do it again.
Are you sure?
So then I reach out to a friend that's already here, and I just ask her for prayer.
Yeah.
Like we're planning this vacation. We're gonna come back with Gina and the boys, but I'm really feeling led to possibly move, which I think is crazy. I know it's crazy, but would you just pray with us? Would you just cover us in prayer as I'm making this decision? And so she, of course, is like, yeah, absolutely. And then she sends me a link to a rent house that is my favorite rent house that I already have saved,
Yeah.
which I think is crazy because I did not tell her where.
Yeah.
I did not tell her the neighborhoods or the zip codes, or she knew I wanted to be somewhat close to you. I didn't tell her. Out of the thousands and thousands of houses for rent, she sent me the exact link to my favorite one.
And she like knew that like the people that lived in that
Yeah.
house.
Yeah. Which is crazy. And then another sign that I got was I was expecting an email that wasn't coming in. So I went to check my junk folder. And the first email that popped up in my junk mail said, "The mountains are calling."
Golly.
So I got all of those signs before we even left Texas.
Yeah.
Right.
Before I even showed up to get my kids.
And so I'm journaling all of these. I'm telling you about them.
You're telling your dad. Your
and-
dad's like,
yeah.
"Julia, you have your answer." You're like, but are we sure?
Are we really sure? And so, then we're here, and it took, by the time after we made our road trip and we're here, I mean, it was 2 or 3 days. It was so fast. And the sense of peace that I felt, there are no words to explain that sense of peace. I've only felt that very few times in my life. One of them was when I knew I was going to get divorced. Another one was when I was 18 and pregnant and knew I was not going to get an abortion. Very few times that I can explain to you
And
that I
big
felt
times.
this. Yeah.
Like big moments of your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Just overwhelming peace. And so, so we start really looking at rent houses,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, where's my Walmart? Where's my H-E-B? There is none, by the way. It's Smith's, which is fine. It's like Kroger, okay? For you Texas people, it's like Kroger. And so we're looking at all these houses, and you know, I'm kind of getting to know like what life would be like here, where I would go and what I would do, and I wanted to be here now. So this was in July. And in my mind, I'm a teacher, right? So I needed to be able to move at either before a semester, in between semesters, after the school year. I
Yeah.
can't move in the middle of a school year.
Right.
And so in my mind, I was like, there's no way we'd be able to get here before school starts in September. So we're going to have to do this at Christmas break. And that broke my heart.
Yeah.
Because I was miserable in Houston. So miserable. I mean, so many nights where I'm like, God, something has to change because I cannot do this anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. You have got to do something big because I can't do this. I remember sitting in your parents' office right there,
Just over there.
back there, and crying, which I don't do in front of people.
No, you do not. You're starting to, though.
I am, which is good. It's
I'm
healing.
so proud of you.
I'm healing.
Yeah, you are.
And I remember crying and going, I can't do another 6 months. I cannot go back and do another 6 months. I won't survive it. And we ended up having a girls' night with some girls here, some of our doTERRA community here, who supported us in all kinds of different seasons, right? And these 5 or 6 women just start planning what it would take to get us here.
Like, they were really intentional. They were like, let's go, let's make a list. And it wasn't like, let's do this. Let's play it out, what it would look like, and see what comes up. And so the list of to-dos was put together very quickly. And to have so many different women, thinking
organized
about
women,
every detail, getting every angle, what needs to happen with your stuff there, what happens with the kids, what happens with your business, what needs to happen for you to be able to sustain life here. It was awesome to have that kind of support in one room.
They just covered it all.
But
It
so
was
we
crazy.
left with a literal checklist of what would need to happen. And it wasn't, I feel, from my perspective, it wasn't like, okay, let's go do these things. It was like, this is what would need to happen for things to work. Because some of the things on the list were God. Some of the God would have to provide X, Y, and Z. And some of the things were what you would have to do. But God had to show up in certain areas first for you to start moving anything.
So coming out of that meeting, I was excited. I was also scared. I was also anxious because I wanted this so bad. I did not want to have to go back. But I walk out of that meeting and I'm feeling all these different emotions. But like you said, it's going to take miracles to get us here, and to get us here within a matter of weeks before school starts.
Intense.
And I'm like, okay, so what, all along, I'm getting these signs, I'm getting these confirmations, I'm feeling this peace. And I'm like, okay, God, I'm going to take one step at a time. And if you open that door, I will walk through it. And if you open the next door, I will walk through that one. And holy cow, not only were the doors open, they weren't cracked. I didn't have to push them open, like wide open doors where he was like, this is where I want you. And there is no doubt about it. So we start looking at rental houses seriously. So now we're here and we're going in person and looking at rental houses, right? And then Shirley, our neighbor, told us.
No, we were going to see a house that we knew wasn't it.
Right.
And I was like, I feel like we need to do the groundwork to show God that we have faith, and we are going to go look at everything. Even though we know this isn't the right fit for you, it's not the right house, it's on a busy street. I mean, it was super close to me. It was a 5-minute drive, less than that. But I was like, we need to show faith. And to do that, we had to drive by Shirley's house, and her and her husband were on the porch. And I rolled down the window. I'm like, they're staying. We're going to look at houses. And Shirley's got news.
She tells us that she's like, there's a house right around the corner that just sold. Wasn't even on the market, wasn't online. I mean, was up and down in less than 24 hours.
How she knew about it. Miracle woman.
I know.
Well,
that's another part of God being in it. Like that we even heard about this house.
Right. But it was purchased by a automotive shop that shares the back fence because they wanted part of the property for a parking lot.
Because it was a big property.
So Shirley knew that they were going to rent out that house because they have other rental properties.
Yeah.
So she was like, I'm pretty sure they're going to try and rent it because they just want the parking lot.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay.
Yeah. Which, just another God moment right there that we even knew about this house. So then we approach the people who bought it.
Yeah.
And they're like, how do you even know that we bought it? We haven't closed on it. We
Yeah.
haven't, like, I don't even know how you know about this yet.
Yeah.
Another God moment, right? And so they basically say, you know, we're not doing anything until we close on it. We give them our contact info. We let them know that we're really interested in it. And then we have to wait.
That waiting was not pleasant because we're still looking for houses and we're looking in a budget range. And
Right.
we don't even know what they want to charge for rent.
Right.
We're like, they could charge.
Or how long the agreement. I
Yeah.
did not want to sign another 1 year because we literally in 2022, we lived in 4 different houses.
Yeah. You need a
4
little
different
stability.
houses in 1 year. And so, yeah, we need stability. My kids need stability. And so we didn't know what they were going to charge. We didn't know how long the agreement would be for, all these
Or if you
different
even
things.
fit in it. Like, we hadn't seen it.
Only the outside.
Because there was no like pictures because it wasn't up for sale for very long.
Yeah.
But we contacted them and we are just like, hey, we are super interested. We would love to come see it to see if it's something that would work for us. And even though they hadn't closed yet, they're like, yes, you can come see it. But we also needed to get your stuff from Texas
Right.
in a time frame, in a very specific time frame, which was one of the doors that got open.
Yes.
We said, this is the time frame we need. And all of the things that needed to happen happened. And so we couldn't
Right.
move that time frame.
We needed a truck. We needed somebody to drive the moving truck. We needed, like, all of this had to fall into place exactly how we needed it.
It's like a synchronized swimming routine.
And so, yeah. So I fly back to Texas and leave 10 kids with you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
So it was so fun. It was easy. These kids are amazing. I feel like our 10 kids is way easier than my 4 by themselves.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
They're awesome.
They are. So I fly back to Texas for 3 days
Pack everything.
to literally pack everything, to close everything up to our entire lives.
That's insane.
I get there and my stepmom and a couple of friends have already packed the whole house.
I love that.
They packed everything and gotten rid of anything that we're not going to bring, which was incredible. So I was just there to do the finishing touches, to help load the moving truck.
Still not a small
to,
job.
You know, turn utilities off and all the things that come with moving, right? Yeah. So it was still, I mean, we were moving.
Yeah.
We were moving. And then we get back to Utah.
Well, I did a virtual.
that's
I
right,
went.
yeah.
Look, we got a
So
call.
they
from-
call, they call and say, do you want to come see the house tonight? I'm in Texas.
Right.
I'm like, shit, really? Now of all the days, the 3 days that I was gone.
Right. There's really a lot of time before and after we could have done this, but okay.
Yeah. So you and your sister
Yep.
went to look at the house and FaceTime me while I was in Texas.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm having this memory right now, but as y'all are FaceTiming and showing the house, in Texas, we're under a tornado warning. And
That's
I'm like,
right.
just so you know, if we pop off the phone, it's because there's a tornado, but it's fine.
Just more signs that you're supposed to be here because we don't have those here.
Yeah. And it was incredible. Now, I think that another God moment, because you and I had already gone and looked at rental houses, you had a really solid grip on what I needed and what I wanted
Yeah.
and what I could budge on and what I wasn't willing to budge on.
Yep.
Which is perfect because then you could go into the house and, you know, you FaceTime me and you showed me everything, of course.
Yeah.
But just to get a good feel for the house, you were like, this will do. This is exactly what you need right now.
It had a feeling. It had a feeling, you know, it just was like, I was like, this would work for you.
Yeah.
I think you had to budge on not having your own bathroom.
Yeah.
And not having a bathtub for you.
Yeah.
But I want to say that that's kind of the only thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you asked for a view, and she's got pretty much this view, only almost better.
I mean, that's my office window.
That's that's true. We'll have to post that picture too.
Yeah. I have a good one for that.
But that was such a cool moment to walk through, and I'm like, Julia, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Because we had gone through so many houses, and we're like, no, that's not it.
Yeah.
But it's around the corner. It is 6 houses away from me, which is why we
6
called it the Miracle
houses.
The Miracle House.
We do. So we have nicknames for all of the houses that we've lived in because the kids and I have lived in a crap ton of houses now.
Yeah.
And so this house was named the Miracle House. And so we're already falling in love with it. But again, they haven't closed on it yet.
It's still very up in the air.
Yeah. So now we're calling it the Miracle House, and everybody in the neighborhood knows about the Miracle House.
Oh, they are praying and manifesting.
Yes.
We're like, listen, we're like, we need all the prayers, all the manifesting powers. So like, you got it. It's happening. Like, they were so on board.
Yeah. So then a friend drives the moving truck.
Yeah.
I fly back, and my whole house sits in your driveway for a week.
The amount of calls, people are like, are you moving? I was like, no. I don't know what's happening.
And that waiting was so hard. And that definitely grew my faith, because I'm going, I have no doubt you wanted us here, God.
Yeah.
There's nothing in me that doubts that. But we're missing a really important part right now, because my entire house is in a moving truck in her driveway. And 25 of us are still living here. So
Yeah.
you
You were really hoping to have a place to unload the truck, but we didn't get that.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even though that wasn't the favorite thing, to be loved on, like you got to feel loved on with this, with the next part of the story happens, I think was really awesome.
Yeah. So we, after a week, I needed to return the moving truck.
Yeah.
And so we had to unload it. We ended
Somewhere.
up unloading it in your parents' garage. They cleaned out their garage and made space for us.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many, 25 people showed up that
There was
day?
a bunch of people.
And unloaded a 26-foot moving truck in 30 minutes.
I love it. And that was something that because you, as you were moving 5,000 times in Houston, you were doing it by yourself.
Right. So every time that we've moved, I've had one or two people. I've had, somebody who's like, oh, I'll help you pack today. But for the majority, I've moved us by myself so many damn times. And I mean, those times almost broke me, because I also am a single mom. I can't take work off. So on my already very full plate, I'm now staying up till 2 and 3 in the morning and packing and moving. And so to come here and have 25 people show up.
Well, which is why it was so frustrating have you be far away, because I'm going, I have a community that will serve you. I know that moving, because so you were like, oh, moving. I'm like, this is the part you don't stress about. I know that we have this.
Yeah.
The people are going to show up and it's going to be great. And you were still like, oh, no, this is moving day. And I was like, just watch. And I was so excited for that day.
Yeah.
And they showed up and we did it in 30 minutes and it all fit.
Yeah.
And we had fun.
Yeah.
Like there was so much laughter.
Yep, we had
And there's
music
even-
and
there's
donuts
even-
and yeah.
But there's even men who are just like, just go sit down. We're like, you obviously don't know us very well.
Yeah.
But so like we moved, but there's like times where like we needed a break and things still got moved.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
Which was incredible. So, that period of waiting and just and having faith and going, okay, God, I know this is going to work. Whether or not this is the house that we get, I know that you're in this and I know that this is where you want us. And then I got the news. That we got the Miracle House at like 10 p.m.
Oh my gosh.
on the way home from the date.
That night was so good because I'm sitting on my porch anticipating her coming home from the date to get all the juicy details of said date. And instead, I get the best news of my life that she's moving and going to be my neighbor. And
6
that my
houses.
community is going to be our community.
That's insane. God moved us from Texas to Utah in the same neighborhood, 6 houses away.
Well, and that by this point, your kids had already, like, you guys had fit into the community.
Right.
Like, they had friends, and we had, like, you guys were a part of the community. So instead of having to reacclimate to a new community, you were there.
Yeah, people already knew us. People were already welcoming us. Like, it was incredible.
Such a blessing.
So we got that. I remember coming home from the date that night, and I remember you ran to my car, and I'm pretty sure we screamed in the street
Yeah,
at 10
we did.
something at night.
Sure did.
And we had to go for a walk because there was just so much excitement and energy, and like we've got to move.
Our bodies could not contain it. I was like, I think that was the first time that I was like, this is happening.
Yeah.
Like, your truck was here and unloaded, and that was the first time I'm like, she's moving here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I didn't let myself believe it until that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So we get the Miracle House, and then moving day.
It's another good day.
Moving day. So now everybody has to come to Gina's house. I mean, your parents' house.
Yeah.
To reload everything that was in the 26-foot truck to take to the new house to unload.
Now, my parents only live 5 minutes away,
Thankfully,
which made all of the moving really easy for my neighborhood to come and do that.
That was so hard for me because I had already asked people to come and help
Yeah.
unload the truck.
Yeah.
And now I have to ask people to come and reload and then unload again. And that was so hard for
Okay,
me.
but like how many people came the second time?
Literally like 40 people.
Twice as many.
Twice
And
as
again,
many showed up.
We had fun.
Yeah.
There was music again.
Yeah.
And it took us an hour and a half to load, move, and unload. And not only like unload into like the garage, it wasn't like that. Like people are putting stuff in rooms, people
Yeah.
are putting furniture together.
Yeah.
Like it was a day and it was an hour and a half.
It was
And
incredible. And it was just, it was so healing for me because I've been alone for so long. And I have felt like a burden for so long. And so to ask people to unload a truck and then to come back and reload trucks and then to unload them again at my house just felt like I was being a burden. And the unconditional love that everyone showed, the serving that everyone showed, people didn't just show up, like they showed up with happy faces and joyful hearts, and they were truly excited about us moving in. And that was just so healing for me because it was just like, you're not a burden. We're so glad that you're here.
Yeah.
We love you. We want you to be a part of this community. From these people that I've known for a month.
Oh, I love how like I said, like I don't think I've ever had that much fun moving before.
Right. It was fun and people were happy and joyful hearts and all of these things. And so, I mean, that's a great segue into just what the community that we live in and that we have. And it just blows my mind. These people are the most genuine, real, authentic, loving people.
Yeah.
They truly just like exude God's love.
Yeah.
You can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so freaking thankful. So thankful to be in this community. Like, this is where God wanted us. This
Yeah.
is where we needed to be, and we're finally not alone. And when I'm working, the kids are running around the neighborhood with other kids, and there are other adults that they can go to. In Houston, that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
When I'm working, they're in a bedroom basically with screens the whole time because they don't have anyone. We did not have anyone.
They just did a whole winter.
Yeah.
And they played outside almost every day. Rain, shine, blizzard.
Snow.
They
yeah.
were all about it.
By the way, she's not talking about a Reese's Cup blizzard.
No, like from the sky.
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah, but your kid, like that was my favorite because it got my kids out for the winter.
Yeah.
Because my kids have known just this.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of our kids, so summer or winters are hard because that seasonal depression sets in and we're just kind of locked in the house and we do the TV and because it's like, it's too cold to go outside. But because your kids were so excited about the snow, my kids are like, let's show you all the things
Oh my
snow
gosh,
can do.
my kids have loved every second of the snow.
Do you remember so in our community on Sundays, and this is just what neighbors put together. In the summer, we do homemade ice cream. And in the winter, we do burn barrel and hot cocoa. And do you remember the first burn barrel night that we did and it snowed? And the kids, like, it wasn't a lot of snow.
Yeah.
But your kids were like, let's make a snowman. And they are gathering snow from everybody, like 6 houses of
To make a tiny snowman.
But it was their first snowman and they were so proud
Yeah.
and so excited. And everybody loved watching them play.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, the community has been, for me in my journey, I was actually just talking to a neighbor, like the people have changed, but the community in general has showed up for me for the last 12 years consistently. And to just continue to feel God's love through all of these amazing people.
Yeah.
And it's not just me. It's not just you. It's everybody
It
has
is.
this experience.
Yeah.
And the love and the safety and the way we all look out for each other and serve each other is, I feel like, what God wants, intended for us to live.
When they say, it takes a village or it takes a tribe, we have that.
And
we
I think
finally have that.
it's been awesome because we have that tribe. They also got to experience your extremely faithful journey you just took. So the conversations we're having on porches in the evenings in the summer, and they're like, they get to build their testimony watching your faithfulness and watching how God worked in your journey to build on them. And my parents too, like every time we had something big happen. Oh, do you remember the day that the kids came and told, so her kids call my parents Grammy and Granddad.
Yeah.
And so they were like, we need to go tell Grammy and Granddad we're moving here.
Yeah.
I think we have a video.
We do. We'll post that too.
And they're just like, anyway, so just to have the community that's not just the doors around us, but my family that lives here, my grandpa lives near us, my sister's not that far away either. And just, it's, I didn't realize how much you moving here was going to bless my life. I knew it was going to bless yours. But what it's done for my life, and not just for you, but getting to be a part of watching your faithfulness was so testimony building for me. And it was so beautiful to watch you just blindly trust. It is incredible. And to watch how God is like, thank you. And just watch him, the abundance flow.
Yeah.
Was, I have no words for it.
I think that's such a good point. And I think that this is why we need to tell our stories, because it strengthens other people's faith. And so everybody got to witness God's goodness and his faithfulness and his mercy, and how he just showed up miracle after miracle, and that strengthens everybody's faith.
And they all got to be conduits of that too. And I'm loving this idea of, we are all, if we put ourselves in the right place, we can be conduits for God's love.
Yeah.
If we are leaning close with him and being still and listening to his promptings, we get to show up for other people like that.
Yeah.
And I love that so much.
I love it. I mean, just yesterday, the kids had off of school. We both had huge groups of kids at our house.
Yeah. Not
and
just
that,
ours.
I had a lot of preteens and teenagers at mine.
I had the littler ones.
And they're all out on the trampoline, and they're, they're not inside, they're not on screens, they're doing all kinds of things.
Your journey of getting here, I think, has blessed beyond what we can see. And I think that I've had neighbors make comments about, they're like, that is an incredible story that has really built my faith. But then what an example for our kids.
Yeah.
Because I use it now. I'm like,
absolutely.
Who do you know that just did a whole lot of faithful? I can use you. And I can just show them, like, what did she do to get that way? And how do we get to show up for other people that way and continue this? But just this life lesson alone is worth all the work. And I love it. And I'm so grateful that you are the kind of person that cleaves to God, that partners with God, and is willing to do the hard work, because it has blessed me and my kids immensely just in the last 6 months. We're not going to talk about the 10 years before that. We'll just go with the last 6 months. It has been life-changing, life-altering for the better. And I'm just like, we still have moments where we're just like, you live here.
Yeah, all the time.
And we're going to get to the point where it's warm and we'll go for walks in the warmth and we'll get to meet each other at our corner.
Yeah.
And we'll be like, right, we live here.
That's
and I
incredible.
think that the more we dig into it, we just see God's hand everywhere. And it's the same as our whole life. He's always everywhere. But it just testifies more that this relationship is a gift from God.
Yeah.
Because my dad will, when you first settled into your house, he was like, how are things going with you guys? Like, he's waiting for things to explode.
Yeah.
And it's just not. Because we're not, I don't know.
Because God gave us this.
And we're awesome.
Obviously.
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 But, and then now move to this podcast.
Yeah.
How led were we to this?
Literally, I don't remember who had the idea, and that's not an important detail. But you and I having these conversations, we were like, we should record this. Like, it was just a thought. And it was before I had a house, right?
Yeah.
My house literally has a podcast room in it.
Right. I think you saw
Like,
that.
what?
It's a sign.
Yes. I'm like, it's another sign.
It wasn't, to me, it wasn't a sign that you should move here. It was a sign that we needed to do the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love that we get to do life together. So now we're 6 houses away. We can't even finish a whole song. If we walk to each other's house, you can't even finish a whole song.
Yeah.
We do dinner together multiple times a week. She will throw dinner together. I'll throw dinner together, which is so nice.
Oh, but the best part though is when it's not planned and one of us texts the other person, we're like, hey, I've got dinner ready for you.
I'm like, hot damn.
The other person's always like, I'm so turned on right now.
Yeah. Mom fantasy.
Listen.
I love that.
But it's also like, you can come join us or you can not.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. There's never any pressure.
This week, there's been a couple of times, like, I'll feed the kids, and I was like, are you okay if I don't come? You're like, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm like, good, because I need it. I need
Yeah.
to shower without little people.
Watching you.
Literally. What are you doing?
I love it. But it's just, we're finally not alone. And
Yeah.
so, like, another huge thing for me is that when I am getting to, when you're a single parent, 24/7, there is no tapping out. There's no, I'm getting to my threshold, I need to go take a break. There's
Yeah.
no, I'm getting so angry that I need to walk away. We don't get that chance. And that is extremely hard. But being so close, we get to do that for each other.
I mean, as much as we can.
Right. And
So
so,
we were on a walk the other day,
Mhm.
and you were done. And one of your kids was having a minute, and I was like, I got it. But then I was having a hard time with one of my kids, and he just needed love, and I was like, I need to not be touched. And you're like,
Yeah.
I can give him love. And I freaking love that, because how many times are we just sitting there in tears going, I have nothing left to give these kids.
yeah.
And you show up and you're like, I've got more.
Yeah.
I got them. And I'm just like, okay. So I mean, sometimes I'm just like, I think that God brought you here more for me than for you. Like, he's like, Gina needs you.
I
I'm offended.
disagree.
We're equally getting benefit. But this story is one of my favorites. And I think you
Yeah.
could write a whole book about it, because it's got so many amazing lessons and so
Yeah.
many amazing faithful moments that people need to
It's
hear.
so good. And I think that as we continue to look back at this story, I think we'll see more and more moments of like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, look, God was there too.
Yeah.
And he was there too. Now our kids are planning our family anniversary party at the end of July.
Well, first of all, so my kids still have to go to Texas. So the whole
Yeah.
like, yay, my friend's going to be there, I will take, because I get to see you every day, which is incredible.
Yeah.
But my kids still have to go spend 6 weeks
Yeah.
in Texas, and your kids are not happy about it.
No.
But we are making the best out of it, and so the kids have started planning the anniversary party for when they get back.
Yeah.
What did Madison call it? Our familyversary or something? like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And it's like they call each other siblings, and if you're
They
not out
act
of town,
like it too.
they do. But if one of us isn't out of town, they see each other every day.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I think I texted you. I'm excited to recreate some of the pictures we have of the kids at the very
I can't
beginning,
wait.
because they didn't know each other, right? And so they're doing the "Don't touch me."
Yeah.
And now it's like we walk in and like they're all like there's no personal bubbles between
No.
all of them. And
Yeah.
it's so when my kids went for Christmas, the group hug and the tears that happened when they left, I was just like, this is, because as I'm watching my kids go through the life of divorced parents, I think there's a lot of questions about what love is. And to have you and your kids there, and not because I don't give them love, and not because their dad doesn't give them love, just because it's foreign. It's not how God intended families to be.
Right.
But to have them come home and to be at your house and have your home be an extension of our home and an extension of our safety, which is so new
Yeah.
and so incredible. And so now for that to be another place, like we have my parents' house, we have my house, and now we have your house, and now it's growing to the community. Like,
Yeah.
it's just amazing. But I love when they got home from Christmas break with their dad, how excited your kids were and how emotional you were. And how I was having a hard time with them being gone, and I could go and be at your house, and like we all would cry together about my kids. Like,
Yeah.
that's why I keep thinking that this is more for me than for you, just because, I don't know, just this unconditional love that we both
Yeah.
need and our kids need, and they're giving it to each other and we're giving it to them. And it's just, like you said, we've got to probably wrap up, because I feel
Yeah.
like the more I talk, the more I'm going to find God's hand in this. And it's like but yeah, we'll end with gratitude with this, unless you have anything else to add.
No.
I am so grateful for you and your faith. Period.
I love it. I am grateful for everybody who helped to get us here, because it took a whole lot of hands to get us here.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for you and Morgan and your parents. I'm grateful for Ashley and Laura, and I'm grateful for my parents and for Annie and Thomas for their whole community here that helped get us here.
Yeah.
Our community, our tribe is the best, and we will never tell y'all where we live,
You don't-
because you can't.
There's
come
not
here.
enough room. Just kidding.
They're ours.
We don't share well.
Mine.
Dibs. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for being awesome. So,
I received that.
high five. Okay. Next week, we'll see ya.